Welcome to the Love and Sex Today show with Dr. Doug Weiss. Doug has been healing hearts and relationships for decades. He's helped thousands of people release the shame and the guilt, restoring hope, helping people get free from addictions to enjoy a better sex and love life. Here he is, your host, Dr. Doug Weiss.
Welcome to Love and Sex Today. I am Dr. Doug Weiss, and I am going to be your host for now our 35th conversation. And I can tell you, I have been saving this one. Our topic today is the 5 sex languages. So many couples struggle in the area of sexuality. So many couples feel misunderstood by their spouse or their partner. They feel confused. They fuss about sex. They don't understand each other. And most do not even have a language to begin the conversation, to be able to heal, address the issues, and be able to be powerfully sexual in their marriage or relationship. Well, today's topic is going to change your life. This is one you're going to want to share, and you're definitely going to want to tune in to all of the topics on the sex languages, the 5 sex languages. This is the first podcast, and we will do several others as it relates to the 5 sex languages. This will introduce you to the topic and get your appetite whet for the rest of them. Now, I want you to go to loveandsextoday.com. Subscribe there. Review us on iTunes, especially this one. This one's going to help a lot of people and let them know that you're excited about this. One of you will be selected once a month for a private conversation with me, Dr. Doug Weiss, and we'll chat about whatever you want to and hopefully expand or accelerate something in your life. And I really love getting to know you. And if you will go ahead and do that, put a review on iTunes, that'll put you in the way of getting that done. So also there's always a free chapter there. And also there's a button that says, give us your questions, give us your topics, share your heart with us. You click there and we can get you on a show as soon as possible. So do that. The 5 sex languages. Now, this is a book that I've written. It's a totally different, unique concept than you've ever heard before. And so I want to introduce it in this podcast because once you understand this paradigm, it can set your relationship on fire. It can set it free. It can heal some of the areas of misunderstanding that were there just because there was no language. There was no way of understanding why he is different than me, why she is different than I am. Why doesn't she get me? Why doesn't he get me? Why does it always have to be their way? Why can't it be my way? I like this. Why can't they hear me? If you are married or in a long-term relationship, most likely those questions have come into your life. Today, I want to open up a whole nother paradigm. And what I find is in counseling, if you can provide a paradigm and provide a language for what's going on in people's lives, they can move through it so much quicker with so less damage and be able to accelerate that area of their life, be it finances, be it emotional intimacy, be it sexuality, be it parenting. Paradigms are powerful. So I want to talk about the 5 sex languages. Now, to do that, I want to go back in history. A little while back, there was a great book, sold millions of copies, called The 5 Love Languages, written by Dr. Chapman. Great book. And it talked about how we're all wired for love differently, how some of us like gifts, some of us like praise, some of us like quality time, some of us like acts of service, and some of us like to be touched. And he talked about these 5 love languages, the way people are wired, almost predeterminedly wired to receive love in that way. Now, I love Gary. He's a wonderful author. I do think he missed one chapter in that book, which I would totally encourage him to write. Why is it you marry someone who's different than you? Why is it that every couple struggles with getting love to their spouse? I have the answer for that, and one day maybe we'll talk about that. But in my book, it's exactly the same way. The 5 sex languages. See, there are ways in which your spouse is innately designed for sexuality. Now, you don't know what the language is for that. So you test this, you try that, this works, this doesn't work. And you have this ongoing experiment, which can be fun, exhilarating, or it can be exhausting and empty and alone and confusing. And it can have those feelings attached to it. But what if there actually was a manual? What if there was actually a book you could read and she or he could read, and you could discover the very language that your lover speaks sexually, that they're already wired. And all you have to do is understand how they're wired to be able to accelerate sexual pleasure. Now, what if there was a manual for you? What if you could hand your spouse, lover, partner a manual and say, here, this is me sexually. This is what I've been trying to say to you for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. This language explains why I like X, Y, and Z and why I don't like A, B, and C. It's not because I'm trying to be hard-headed or selfish or a narcissist or a pig or cold. It's because I am uniquely different. And once you understand that I'm different and you actually can begin to speak the language of your spouse, lover, friend, the way they're designed, oh my gosh, your sex life will go through the ceiling. Their pleasure will quadruple. Your ability to feel confident will quadruple. Why am I saying this? Because that's what my clients tell me. I'll never forget. I have clients fly from all over the country and world to come see me personally and my team. We do 3-day and 5-day intensives. And this couple came in, not because they had a sexual addiction, not because he cheated, not because she was an intimacy anorexic. They came in within their first year of marriage because they were having challenges in the area of sexuality. Other than that, they were the perfect couple. They were gorgeous. They were smart. They were successful. They had the same faith even. They were really wonderful people, delightful people. They're from another country. And they flew in. And on the first day, they say, listen, we're here because we want to have a great sex life. And we're fussing and we're fighting. We don't get each other. And so I opened up the paradigm that I'm going to explain to you, the 5 sex languages. That was on Monday. I said, now here, I want you to go through these. And I want you to go through these 5 different sex languages. And I want you to find out which one you are. And then tomorrow, I want you to come in and tell me which one you think your spouse is. Now, I don't want you to talk to each other about it. Be honest little, clients and do what I'm asking you. And they did. They went home that night. After dinner, they both read through the 5 sex languages because there's 5 of them. They found themselves pretty quickly. And then they had to guess at the other person. So they come back in Tuesday in their intensive. And I said, okay, so ma'am, what do you think you are? And she gave me what she thought she was. And he just looked bewildered. He's like, oh, I didn't guess that at all. I really thought you were this. And then we went to him and said, well, what do you think you are? And he told her what he thought he was, and with some examples. And she's like, oh my gosh, I totally missed you. I thought you were this sex language. And they both belly laughed. They both laughed because they're very bright people. They're educated people. They're successful people. And yet they totally missed the sex language of their spouse, even when it was right in front of them. Even when the words and the language were right in front of them, they couldn't quite fit it. But once they understood each other and they were able to say, okay, this is really who I am, and they were hearing each other really well, then they went home and they did what the 5 sex languages gives to every couple who walks through that material. It gives them a roadmap. How would you, for a moment, think through this? How would you like something that gives you a roadmap from beginning to end? It explains to you what kind of sexual environment to have for this particular sex language. It explains to you maybe 10 or 12 different ways that you could ask for sex and it would be well received. It would fit the sex language of your spouse. Instead of what often happens is we have a sex language and we think everyone is made like we are. So we try to force our sex language on our spouse and they do the same to us. And we try to fuss over trying to create a dominant sex language, as opposed to really enjoying 2 different ones and becoming experts at the other one. See, so many people feel in love because they're not being loved in their love language. So many people's sex life is not really as optimal as it can be because they're not really being made love to in the language that is optimal for them. And what if there was a roadmap? What if there was a language for what to say during sex? What if I could give you words that would absolutely take your spouse, your partner, to another planet? because the words that you speak into their heart during sexuality meet the absolute way their heart is designed. It accepts the heart the way it is. It doesn't try to change it. It appreciates it. What if there was language for what to say after sex? That would just wrap that person's experience in a way that it makes them not just feel cuddled that you're holding them, but you're holding their very heart, and they feel you heart to heart. There is a manual. It's called the 5 Sex Languages. And once you understand what sex language your spouse is, you're going to be able to accelerate sexuality the way they're languaged, the way they're already scripted. And if your partner and spouse is willing to learn about you, your sex life can go through the ceiling as well. Now, there is not enough time in one podcast to even start going down the road of what are the 5 sex languages, Dr. Weiss? I want to know what they are. Tell me right now. Give me that 20-second clip. I'm not going to give you a 20-second clip. I'm going to do the next 5 podcasts and walk through each sex language. Now, I'll probably walk through mostly the positive side because each sex language has a mature side and an immature version. And depending on your sexuality, you may be the darker side of that sex language. Well, regardless, you're going to learn those. Now, I really would like you to go to loveandsextoday.com, subscribe there, review us on iTunes, and please share this because the next 5 podcasts will be life-changing. And I want you to review us on iTunes, get your free chapter there. Also, click the button that says Ask Your Question for Dr. Doug. We really want to incorporate your voice into the podcast. We really want to hear your heart and what's going on in your life because we want you to have a great love life and a great sex life. We really do. I spend my time helping people from all over the world improve their relationships, and we want you to have the best relationship possible. And remember, one of you who writes a review will be selected for that private conversation for just you and I, which is going to be it's going to be fun. So you want to do that as well. And remember, always have great love and always have great sex today.
That's it for our episode of Love and Sex Today with Dr. Doug Weiss. Head on over to loveandsextoday.com and be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes. When you do, and you post a review on iTunes, some lucky listener is going to win every single month a private confidential coaching call with Dr. Doug Weiss. Also, feel free to ask any question you like. You can push a button, speak your question, and Dr. Doug will answer your question in a future episode. So be sure to subscribe to the show. Doug's got some great gifts for you, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.